I just found out that sundown towns were not always white. I've always thought they were. I thought they were places where black people were never allowed because they were always white towns. But that's not even the case. Not even talking about when indigenous people were here. We're not even talking about that part before colonization. We're talking about after the Civil War ended, people found land to build on and they were living there for generations. They built businesses, they built schools, barbershops, farms, but they were driven out. So after slavery ended, they had started building across the South. This was denied for centuries. Ownership was denied for centuries. Entire black neighborhoods flourished. During the Reconstruction era, they were electing their own black officials. And it's like as their prosperity grew, which is black prosperity, it created more white hostility. White communities were failing while the black communities were not. They were prospering. So that's when you start finding out about the white mobs being violent and lynching black men, white women accusing black men of raping them, and then the whole violent white mob would come to the black communities and burn them down. Race riots started happening, arsons, intimidation. They were terrorizing black Americans because they wanted to vote. They were just making up all of these different scenarios just so they can attack these black towns. And the crazy thing about this is when the white violent mobs would come and attack these black towns, the law enforcement will look the other way and they'll just allow them to do it. They will look the other way. So black families would start getting attacked. Many of them will flee in the middle of the night. A lot of them would stand and watch their homes being burnt down, their businesses being burnt down. Businesses that had taken decades for these black people to build had been burnt down and disappeared in a single day. Communities that had once influenced thriving black neighborhoods eventually became places where black people were no longer allowed and no longer safe. And then these communities that black people built became sundown towns, places where black people were warned either by sign or by like reputation of what will happen to you if you're in a sundown town after dark. They were not allowed to remain there after dark. And then I started thinking about it. That makes sense because a town just doesn't wake up and then there's no black people there. Something happened. Someone was forced out. Towns like Rosewood, Florida, once again, a white woman saying that she was raped, and then the black man was jailed, and a violent white mob goes in there, takes him out, kills him, and then they go to the neighborhood, the black communities, and demolish the black community. Forsyth County, Georgia, that Oscarville neighborhood, that's another example. It's so many of them where these violent white mobs, Tulsa, came because of an allegation of a white woman getting raped. Sometimes it was because of a black person trying to vote, like with Ocoee, Florida. A black man went down to the court and tried to vote, and the whole town had to pay for that. I mean, this just reminds us that all that exclusion did not happen by accident. It was deliberate through intimidation, deliberate acts of violence, and discrimination that reshaped all those communities. I mean, literally, generational wealth was interrupted. Generational wealth was disrupted. I mean, the next time somebody comes and tells me a place is a sundown town, I'm gonna say, well, what happened to the black people? What happened to them? Seriously, all sides needs to be told when it comes down to history. This is why history is so important, because I wouldn't have never known that a sundown town was once upon a time a town that black people built. They built everything, and then these violent white mobs came based off of allegation. And the crazy thing about it is most of them happened in the 1920s. When you pay attention to the timeline of when these towns were destroyed by violent white mobs, it was in the 1920s. So I need to find out why that time frame is so significant. Why the 1920s? What happened? Is that when white towns started declining and black communities were rising? Because the 1920s is when most of them got burnt down. When you do your research, you'll see it. So I just want to share that with you all. They were sundown towns for a reason. They did not want those black residents to return back to their land and their homes, everything that used to be theirs. They did not want those black residents to return back. And that's why it was sundown town. Thank you so much for watching.